Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome back to the Fantasy 420, where today we are going to be continuing yesterday's series and discussing some 2019 running back free agency losers. Today we're going to be discussing 5 running backs who I believe lost fantasy value for the 2019 season based on this crazily, monumentally active free agency period we just witnessed. There's still lots of factors that have yet to occur the offseason via the draft, preseason games, injuries, etc. But there are some conclusions that we can draw via free agency. And I'm going to be starting with number 5 being the 5th most helped player and finishing with number 1 being the biggest loser or most hurt player in this offseason from the running back position. So without further ado, we'll start with the 5th name, who I believe to be Gus Edwards. I was deciding between him and Matt Breida, who both had very prominent roles with their team in last offseason, but the team acquired a new piece, and I expect them to take a massive hit in terms of their on-field production. Obviously, Gus Edwards was the lead running back for the Ravens going into this offseason, and then the Ravens signed Mark Ingram, who I believe will be their primary running back going into the year. Obviously, they also still have Kenneth Dixon, who I believe to be the back they're going to look to on receiving downs, but it could also be Mark Ingram. We just know for sure it's not going to be Gus Edwards, and that stinks, obviously, if he's not going to be catching much passes. It really stinks to go from your role being a Lamar Jackson quarterback, running quarterback starter on a team to the backup and 3rd running back option to Mark Ingram. So I think he's going to have some efficient games, maybe some hot hand games where he plays better than Ingram, 4th quarter games where he overpowers defenses. But unless Ingram is hurt, I don't think there's going to be many league sizes where you can trust Gus Edwards to be in your starting lineup. Pre this offseason, absolutely. So I just think he took a pretty big hit in terms of his value. So that's why he's number 5. Number 4, we're going to look at Kerryon Johnson. This was a very big bummer because last year it seemed like the Lions finally latched on to a great-looking dual-threat running back, somebody who can run, somebody who can pass, catch, but ready to give somebody the keys to the kingdoms, a massive workload. Then in comes CJ Anderson. They sign him in the offseason. He's fresh off of his playoff reckoning, reinvigoration, playing behind Todd Gurley / substituting in for Todd Gurley a lot during the playoffs for the Rams. We're going to be talking about him, a little foreshadowing in the future. But it just puts a lot of question marks in our mind about Kerryon's red zone viability. Hopefully that's even it, but worst case scenario, CJ Anderson shows out, and then we have a split running scenario. And then, of course, Theo Riddick is still around this season, and he's going to be an unrestricted free agent next year. But it's just another thing to muck up the works in Detroit. I'm still buying into Kerryon a little bit. This is making his value slide, and hopefully CJ regular season is kind of what he was last year, but definitely stinks for Kerryon Johnson. The 3rd name we're going to look into is Nick Chubb. And this is really all about Kareem Hunt. I think he was going to be a top 5 running back without a shout of a doubt for the first 8 games. He's a great runner in a great offense, and he's going to have an unquestioned great workload. And then after that, once Kareem Hunt comes back from suspension, and that is the important or most important time of the year, it's still really important to win in the early season. But, once he takes a beating and Kareem Hunt come back fresh for the playoffs, is he still an RB1? you're going to be drafting him as an RB1 in the first or second round for sure. So Kareem Hunt's going to be super incentivized. I believe the Browns are going to be pushing for a playoff spot. I just am not sure that he's going to be an RB1. Kareem Hunt was an RB1 in 10 games last year. He's super talented, stinking train going by. But what if Kareem Hunt comes back and absolutely destroys next season? No one's going to buy Chubb off of you in a trade. He's going to fall into that running back 2 or 3 category. You can draft both as an option, but it's a lot of value for 2 players to play one position on one offense when one is missing 8 games. So this offseason just really, really hurt Nick Chubb, I believe, in my opinion, and the cat just knocking down my hat. This video is just going poorly, but we're going to get through it just like any good YouTuber should be able to. The second name, who I believe was hurt the second most in the offseason, is Todd Gurley. We can all say hi to Cal there. Obviously, the offseason devastating knee tendonitis news really hurt Todd Gurley. And there are going to be late season concerns and fantasy playoff implications when it comes to that. It limited him during last season's playoff and Super Bowl run, which is extremely scary. How does that make you feel about them wanting to play him and wear him down during a regular season? And that's where the fantasy season-long leagues take place. So he's so talented, and the team is so good. I do think they'll take a step back record-wise, and with the talent they lost a little bit in the offseason with a couple more names sprinkled around there. I think they're going to compete with Seattle still and have a really good team, so you can't really just ignore him. And then some people are, and I can't really blame them for doing that either. This news is just so devastating when a player of his caliber is going to be so uncertain going into the year with a knee injury. It just really stinks. I just really hope the best going for him forward. I'm still going to consider him in the second round as of right now, but it probably means I won't be getting very much stock of him, and I'll just be letting somebody else take that risk at that high of a price, in my opinion. Finally, the name I believe who's hurt the most in the offseason, it really stinks, is Saquon Barkley. He was my offseason number 1 player, and I believe he has fallen to number 5, in my opinion, behind Ezekiel Elliott, Alvin Kamara, Christian McCaffrey, and Le'Veon Bell. I just think he had a great start to this offseason. Odell and him with another year together. The division isn't exactly that great. There's a lot of question marks, and I think they could have competed. And if they had a hot start and they made some progress, they could have maybe won the division and had a playoff team. And the offseason was just devastating and terrible for this upcoming season's prospects. They traded Odell Beckham and Olivier Vernon to the Browns. They lost Landon Collins for nothing to a division rival. They're going to play Eli Manning as their starting quarterback next year. And if they draft a quarterback, that's just another hole they have to fill. NFL teams are going to want to win. And I think the New York Giants are going to be really easy to game plan against on offense. It's just going to be load the box against Saquon Barkley. They have possession receivers in Golden Tate and Sterling Shepard, so you can just man them up. And they're just going to want to, NFL teams are going to want to beat you. That offense is going to be really predictable. Their defense isn't as good as it was last year, and their defense wasn't even great last year. So I just think they're going to be a tanking team. Saquon is a great talent, and he's going to be bottled up, I believe, with defense this year. And I just really hope that team does draft a quarterback and just gets this rebuild going so they just don't lose as many years out of Saquon's prominence as it looks like he might, because it's just not looking good for that franchise moving forward. Just a not very good roster, not very good offseason. In my opinion, I hope they dump Gettleman, draft a quarterback and just get this thing moving along on the right track. So unfortunately, those are my names. I don't really like to go over the losers. I want everybody to have a great year, everybody to score touchdowns and see as many points as possible. Thanks for sticking through me with a sick video, the train and the cat coming through, but we got through it. I'll be back tomorrow with another video, most likely some free agent pickups in baseball before the Week 2 season. But I would like you guys to comment if you think I left anyone out, or if I ranked somebody inappropriately. I didn't get to tell you guys that last video because I was interrupted by my sickness, but I was doing a little bit better today, and I hope to hear from you guys commenting in the video. I'll leave some links to my previous NFL preseason stream videos, and I hope to hear back from you, and I am glad you all listen. It's really a pleasure, and I love to talk fantasy sports, obviously. So see you tomorrow, and have a great day. Peace.